Have you ever wondered how money impacts not just your lifestyle but also your relationships with your loved ones? As we age, the dynamics of our family ties can shift dramatically, especially when financial challenges arise. In today's video, we're diving deep into the intricate relationship between money and family bonds. You'll hear 3 compelling stories that reveal the profound lessons learned by individuals facing the realities of old age. Stay tuned as we explore how losing financial power can reshape the quality of your connections with your children, and discover the unexpected wisdom that emerges when the comforts of wealth fade. By watching until the end, you'll gain valuable insights into maintaining healthy family relationships, learn how to secure your financial future, and understand the importance of independence and self-care as you navigate this chapter of life. This is not just a story about money. It's a journey toward rediscovering what truly matters in family dynamics. Don't miss these essential truths that could transform your perspective on love, money, and happiness. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. His children once filled his weekends with joy, laughter, and the lively chatter that only family can bring. Every Saturday and Sunday, his home was a place of warmth and togetherness, where he could hear the sounds of his grandchildren playing, his children sharing stories, and the delightful chaos that reminded him of life's simple, precious moments. But as the years passed and his retirement allowance dwindled, his finances became a shadow of what they once were. Instead of a comfortable savings cushion, he found himself relying solely on his modest pension to make ends meet. And with this financial shift, he noticed an unsettling change in the rhythm of family visits. At first, the absence was subtle. Perhaps they'd miss a weekend here or there. Busy with work, they'd say, or the kids have soccer practice. He understood. Life was demanding after all. But weeks turned into months, and each missed visit echoed a hollow silence in his once bustling home. Phone calls replaced in-person visits, then grew less frequent until they were rare, barely once a month. His heart would skip with hope every time the phone rang, only to hear, "Dad, things are tough for us too." Between raising the kids, bills, and work, it's hard to find the time to come by. These words, spoken almost out of habit now, struck him deeper each time. What had once been a vibrant connection now felt like an obligation. Sitting in his quiet house, he couldn't help but feel the deep wound of loneliness, a wound that cut deeper with each excuse, each reminder that life's priorities had shifted for his family. They still loved him. He was certain of that. But the reality was hard to ignore. Their lives had become busy, and their focus had shifted to the demands of raising families of their own, careers, and financial burdens. The visits he had once taken for granted were now a rare occasion. He wondered if the change in his financial situation had somehow made him seem less relevant, less integral to their lives. Is this a unique story, a one-off occurrence? Sadly, it's far from it. According to a survey by the Cabinet Office, over half of elderly individuals aged 65 and above, 54.3%, admit to feeling a profound sense of anxiety about their relationship with their children. This concern is especially prominent in households facing financial struggles. It is a universal story of the silent heartbreak many elderly parents experience as they watch their bonds with their children fade. Reflect on this for a moment. Have you found yourself facing similar fears? Is there a growing sense of unease as your savings start to dwindle in retirement, knowing each expenditure takes you closer to financial insecurity? Have you felt that your connection with your children, once vibrant and strong, is slowly weakening? Do you ever worry that when a true crisis arises, whether it's health or financial, your children may not be there, perhaps not out of lack of love, but because they have lives that demand more from them than ever? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If any of these feelings resonate with you, then this story may feel all too familiar. It's a story that carries important lessons for each of us about the delicate and often painful connection between family and finances. Today, we'll delve into the lives of three people: a 75-year-old former company employee, a 59-year-old full-time housewife, and a 67-year-old retired teacher. Each of them led different lives, made different choices, and walked unique paths. Yet as they entered their later years, they found themselves facing strikingly similar realities about family, financial security, and the complexities of aging. Their stories reveal a universal truth: losing financial stability as we age is more than just a practical inconvenience. It can reshape our relationships, especially the ones we hold dear. When financial power fades, many elderly parents find themselves grappling not only with economic challenges but with the emotional toll of feeling overlooked, their significance quietly slipping away. The harsh reality is that, while love may remain strong, the frequency of visits, the depth of care, and even the willingness to share time can be deeply affected by financial circumstances. It's a hard pill to swallow, that money, something so material and finite, can influence relationships that should be built on unconditional love and respect. So, as we journey through these stories, may we all reflect on how we relate to our own loved ones. Let today's reflections be a reminder of the importance of nurturing relationships based on true connection, not influenced by the ebb and flow of financial status. Let us remember that time spent together, respect, and genuine care are priceless gifts, ones that should never be tied to wealth, success, or financial ease. After all, the value of family lies in love, loyalty, and shared memories, not in bank balances or material comforts. Chiharu Yamada, a man who dedicated over 4 decades of his life to a successful career at a prestigious construction company, now finds himself in a quiet and somewhat lonely care facility. At 75, he never expected to be here, living a life that felt so isolated after a lifetime of hard work and sacrifice. 4 years, he poured his heart and soul into his career, rising through the ranks to become an executive, all while dreaming of a peaceful retirement surrounded by his loved ones. He had always imagined that when the time came, he would move in with his children or, at the very least, live close enough to be a regular part of their lives. But reality, as it turned out, had a painful lesson in store for him. Just 2 years ago, Mr. Yamada's world was shattered when his beloved wife passed away. She had been his anchor, his unwavering support, and the heart of their family. Her presence filled their home with warmth, laughter, and a sense of stability that made everything feel whole. Together, they had raised 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, and Mr. Yamada had always believed that his devotion to his family would be reciprocated in his old age. With a retirement allowance of 20 million yen and a steady monthly pension of 250,000 yen, he felt secure in his ability to support himself and perhaps even contribute to his children's lives as he had always done. From the moment they were born, his children became the center of his world. He spared no expense on their education, sending each of them to university, determined to give them every advantage he could. He never allowed himself the luxury of hobbies, travel, or any kind of personal indulgence. Instead, he focused on saving, budgeting, and providing for his family, always thinking, one day, they'll understand. He believed his sacrifices would earn him not only their respect but also their presence in his later years. When his wife was alive, the house was always full. His children visited almost every weekend, bringing their own families with them. Those weekends were filled with joy, the laughter of his grandchildren echoing through the rooms, family meals around the dinner table, and moments in the nearby park where he played with the little ones, feeling rejuvenated by their youthful energy. It was his paradise, a beautiful family life that he had worked tirelessly to create and maintain. But 6 months after his wife's passing, Mr. Yamada began to notice a heartbreaking shift. His children, once frequent visitors, started to come less and less. At first, their visits dwindled to once a month, then every 2 months, and eventually, they only stopped by for special occasions like birthdays and New Year's. His home, once so full of life and love, began to feel unbearably quiet. The loneliness crept in, wrapping around him like an unwanted shadow, and he found himself waiting by the phone, hoping for calls that rarely came. Desperate for connection, he decided to visit his children instead, hoping to reclaim a little of that lost warmth. But he was met with a cold reception that broke his heart. His eldest son's wife did not attempt to hide her annoyance at his unannounced visits, and his daughter seemed forever busy, rushing their conversations and barely making time to greet him at the door. Mr. Yamada was devastated. How had he become a stranger in his own children's lives? Was this the price of his dedication and sacrifice? It was around this time that Professor Sato, a respected expert in geriatric psychology, published an article that struck a painful chord with him. In it, Professor Sato explained how family dynamics often shift as parents' financial power decreases, and how it is not uncommon for children's attitudes to change when their parents can no longer offer monetary support. Mr. Yamada read those words over and over, feeling each one like a sting. His entire life had been built on the idea that his family would always value him, and that love and loyalty could never be bought or lost. Yet here he was, facing the bitter reality that, as his savings dwindled, so too did his children's willingness to be there for him. Despite his dwindling finances, Mr. Yamada continued to give generously. When his eldest son struggled with a car loan, he offered him 3 million yen without hesitation. When his second son found himself unable to cover his child's education costs, Mr. Yamada provided another 2 million yen. And when his daughter came to him with plans for home renovations, he handed her 5 million yen, hoping that these gestures would remind them of his love, his sacrifices, and his unwavering support. After all, he thought, family was worth every yen. But the more he gave, the more he felt the distance between them growing. His generosity was met with indifference, and his hope for closeness seemed to fade with every transaction. As his savings continued to drain, Mr. Yamada found himself facing an unsettling decision. He was running out of money and could no longer maintain the home he had once shared with his wife and children. Reluctantly, he decided to sell it, hoping the funds would allow him a dignified life in a care facility. It was a decision made from necessity, and he expected his children to understand. Yet, when he told them about his plan, their response left him speechless. They opposed the sale, pleading with him to reconsider, insisting that the house held precious memories. It was then that he finally understood. They weren't concerned about his well-being or his loneliness. They were worried about the loss of the asset, the property they saw as part of their inheritance. With a heavy heart, Mr. Yamada went through with the sale. The house, once filled with memories, was now just a symbol of his children's disinterest. He received 30 million yen from the sale, which he divided carefully. 20 million yen went to secure his place in the care facility, while the remaining 10 million yen he kept aside for emergencies. This time, he made a silent vow to himself, a promise that this last portion of his savings would remain untouched. No matter how much his children asked or how much he wanted to help, he would never again use money as a way to buy their love. As he settled into the care facility, a deep sadness settled in him as well. He had learned a painful lesson, one that left a scar on his heart. All those years, he had given everything, thinking that his love and sacrifice would be enough to keep his family close. But now, sitting alone in his small room, he realized that sometimes, even the deepest love and the greatest sacrifices cannot ensure loyalty or companionship. His final act of self-preservation was keeping that last bit of savings for himself, not for his children, but as a reminder of his worth and the life he had lived with dignity, even if those he loved most could not see it. For Mr. Yamada, the future may be quieter than he had hoped, but at least he has found a sense of peace within himself, a resolve that his life's value does not depend on the approval or presence of others. His love for his family remains, but it is a love that no longer demands anything in return. In this, he has found his quiet strength, a final testament to a life lived with honor, if not with the company he once hoped would share it. Living in the care facility unexpectedly filled Mr. Yamada's heart with a quiet, profound peace he hadn't experienced in years. After a life filled with hard work, financial pressures, and family responsibilities, He found himself in a place where he could truly rest. Here, he met others who, like him, had stories shaped by decades of dedication, sacrifice, and resilience. Many of his new friends had faced similar journeys, and in this shared experience, he felt a sense of community that went deeper than surface-level connections. Joining hobby circles, he discovered new passions and revived old ones, finding a sense of joy and fulfillment in simple activities. For the first time in a long while, he felt free, a man unburdened by financial obligations and freed from the societal pressures of success and provision. Through this time, Mr. Yamada realized that money, while undeniably important, was not the ultimate goal of life. The pursuit of wealth, he understood, had been necessary to raise his family and secure their future. But now, stripped of the constant need to earn and accumulate, he felt the true value of freedom, to live according to his own heart, to make choices unbound by financial considerations, and to surround himself with people who valued him for who he was, not what he owned. His children, though not visiting as often as before, had grown to appreciate his independence and happiness. When they did come, their time together was filled with deep conversation, laughter, and moments of genuine connection. The absence of material concerns made their relationship more precious than ever, each visit an affirmation of their bond, unfettered by guilt or obligation. A profound truth settled in Mr. Yamada's heart. The kind of love that lasts can never be bought, and true family connections endure regardless of financial success. He had come to understand that the quiet, unspoken support from his children and the shared moments of joy and reflection meant more than any material gift. Money could buy many comforts, but it could never purchase the warmth of sincere companionship or the peace of knowing you are loved for yourself alone. Mr. Yamada's journey poses deep questions to all of us. Questions about what family means, what love is, and where true happiness resides. He discovered that the answers are often far simpler than we imagine. Love is about presence, understanding, and acceptance. Happiness is the peace found in these small, meaningful moments. Then there's the story of Tanaka, a 59-year-old woman whose life reflects a devotion that went far beyond the ordinary. My whole life was dedicated to my children, she begins, her voice both strong and tender as she reflects on the years spent in selfless love and service. Mi's journey began when she decided to become a full-time housewife after marriage. In the years that followed, she devoted herself entirely to raising her two children, creating a home that was safe, loving, and full of opportunities for them. Her husband was a hard-working man, employed at a major company, who shouldered the responsibility of providing for the family. Together, they built a life based on mutual respect, love, and a shared dream for their children's futures. But 10 years ago, tragedy struck. Her husband passed away suddenly from an illness, leaving me to navigate the world alone. With a monthly survivor's pension of 150,000 yen and what little savings they had managed to put aside, she faced the challenge of raising her children and maintaining their family home. This modest, 3-bedroom house with a living room, dining area, and kitchen, small by many standards, was a treasure trove of memories for me. Every corner of that house held echoes of their laughter, their dreams, and even their struggles. It was here that her son, with unwavering determination, studied late into the night, dreaming of becoming a doctor. And it was here that her daughter poured her heart into her studies, her ambition set on becoming a teacher. Each room, every wall, seemed to tell a story of dedication and sacrifice. With every milestone her children achieved, Mi felt her heart swell with pride, knowing her sacrifices had given them the freedom to pursue their dreams. Her son eventually became independent, got married, and began a family of his own. Her daughter, too, went on to build a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. As grandchildren came into her life, Mi's heart grew fuller. The house, once filled with the voices and footsteps of her young children, now echoed with the laughter of a new generation. Yet, this transition brought a bittersweet realization, a gentle awareness that her role had shifted. She had given her all, but her children no longer needed her in the same way they once did. The moments of quiet in her once bustling home reminded her that life had moved forward. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Mi's story reveals a type of love that endures through all things, the kind of love that remains steady through loss, change, and the passing years. It's a love that finds its strength in dedication, patience, and unwavering support. Just as Mr. Yamada had discovered, Mi realized that money, though necessary, could never substitute the value of true connection. Her wealth lay in the family she had nurtured, in the lives she had shaped, and in the memories that filled every room of her home. Her story asks us to reflect. What is our true legacy? Is it the money we leave behind, or the love and guidance we instill in those we care for? Together, Mr. Yamada and Mi Tanaka's stories remind us of life's quiet yet profound lessons. They invite us to ask ourselves what we truly cherish and to consider that the most enduring legacy is not one of material wealth but of love and presence. In the end, what remains is the unbreakable bond of family, the memories of laughter and support, and the peace that comes from knowing we lived with love. Ms. Tanaka's journey is a tale woven with the deepest threads of sacrifice, love, and heartbreak that no mother ever expects to face. Her son and his wife were searching for a home close to the city center, a place large enough to raise their growing family, a space where dreams of laughter-filled rooms and happy family gatherings could unfold. Yet, life had thrown obstacles in their path. Her son was only at the beginning of his career, struggling to secure a loan, weighed down by the reality of financial responsibilities he could barely meet. Ms. Tanaka saw the struggle in his eyes, the hope mixed with worry. And in that moment, she felt a profound call to help, a call that only a mother, so deeply bonded to her children, could feel. She didn't hesitate. For her, the choice was clear, the path obvious. She would sell her own home, her sanctuary, the place where she had raised her children and crafted a life full of memories. She sold it for 100 million yen, a lifetime's worth of savings and security, offering 80 million yen to her son and his wife. She kept only 20 million yen, a modest sum intended to support her during her retirement, a small cushion for the years ahead. Her heart swelled with joy, thinking of the life she was helping to create for her son and grandchildren. She felt fulfilled and proud to contribute to her family's future. As she moved into her son's new home, she was greeted warmly, at first, with gratitude and promises of shared happiness. Her son and daughter-in-law welcomed her, and Ms. Tanaka found herself swept up in the excitement of being close to her grandchildren. She imagined family dinners, laughter, and warmth. She relished the chance to be a part of their daily lives, even offering to help with the children. At first, it felt wonderful. She cherished each moment, from preparing breakfast to hearing her grandchildren's giggles as they played. She found a new rhythm, a new purpose. But slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. Her role as a grandmother began to feel more like that of a full-time caregiver. Her daughter-in-law, once appreciative, began to rely entirely on Ms. Tanaka for childcare, shifting the burden of responsibility with the unspoken expectation that she, being retired and without obligations, should be willing to help. It started with a few hours each day, then grew into a full day's work. She found herself caring for her grandchildren every day, from the early morning hours until the sunset. Her energy began to wane, but her sense of duty pushed her forward. Yet, her sacrifices seemed to go unnoticed. Her small 6-tatami room, the one corner of the home she could call her own, was gradually overtaken, turned into a storage space that no longer respected her privacy. The walls she once saw as comforting now felt suffocating. Her own choices and preferences began to be ignored. She was reprimanded for her eating habits, her routine criticized, and even her simple wish to invite friends over was dismissed. It felt as if her life, once filled with meaning and independence, had been swallowed whole. Ms. Tanaka's health began to falter under the weight of her new responsibilities. The strain of daily childcare took a toll on her body, and she started experiencing severe back pain. Desperate for relief, she visited a doctor, who advised her to rest, to avoid any strenuous activities. With a medical diagnosis in hand, She returned home, hoping that her son and daughter-in-law would understand her plight and would see the pain she was enduring for their sake. But instead of compassion, she was met with cold practicality. They told her, "If you can't take care of the grandchildren, you might as well leave." The words hit her like a wave of icy water, sinking into her heart with a harsh finality. She realized in that moment that the home she had helped make possible had no place for her anymore. Left with nothing but heartbreak, she looked to her daughter for support, for a glimmer of kindness. But her daughter's response was equally devastating. Feeling overlooked by her mother's generosity toward her brother, her daughter said with a cold edge, "You gave everything to him. Why are you coming to me now?" Ms. Tanaka felt the final piece of her heartbreak. The family she had given everything for, the family she loved with all her soul, had turned away from her. Now, Ms. Tanaka lives alone in a small rented apartment, relying on a meager survivor's pension of 150,000 yen per month. Each day, she reflects on the life she once had, the sacrifices she made and the bitter outcome she now faces. She is haunted by thoughts that run deep, questioning the meaning of her sacrifices, and wondering how love could be so easily cast aside. Her tears are silent witnesses to a lifetime of devotion and love, now left unreciprocated. She gave everything to her children, and in the end, found herself with nothing but memories and a question that echoes in the quiet of her small apartment. "I devoted everything to my beloved children, and now, this is the outcome." Ms. Tanaka's story is a somber reminder that love, though given freely, can be a fragile bond, easily broken when gratitude fades. It is a painful lesson, one that speaks to the vulnerabilities of aging and the loneliness that can arise even amid family. She carries a profound message for the younger generation, a message forged from the depths of her own hard-won experience. She wants them to understand that love, while truly one of the most precious things we can give and receive, should never come at the cost of losing oneself. She has come to realize that love, in its truest form, is about balance. It's about giving to others, yes, but not to the point of erasing one's own identity, dreams, and well-being. She believes wholeheartedly that while it's beautiful to love deeply, one must also cherish and protect their own life, to hold back a portion of oneself. In a society that often celebrates self-sacrifice, she wants young people to remember that self-worth and self-respect are equally important. Lawyer Yamamoto, a seasoned legal advisor and compassionate supporter, stands by her side, working tirelessly to spread this message to those who may one day face similar struggles. Yamamoto's advice is practical, yet his words carry a warmth born from witnessing too many people compromise their well-being out of love or obligation. He advises people not to put their security at risk when transferring assets to others, even if it is for loved ones. Financial stability, he stresses, is a foundation that everyone deserves and should be protected above all else. He urges people to think ahead, to ensure that future caregiving and medical expenses are arranged, planned, and documented in writing, providing a safety net for those involved. His advice is a reminder that in loving others, we must also remember to love ourselves enough to plan wisely for the future. Ms. Tanaka now stands at a major turning point in her life, filled with both a quiet sadness and a newfound determination. After enduring profound losses that would have left many shattered, she has made the brave decision to begin again, determined to rebuild a life centered around herself. She's actively searching for part-time work, hoping to find something suited to her skills and experience. Not only that, but she has also started volunteering at a local community center, where she finds a sense of purpose and connection in giving back to her community. Each day she spends there is a step forward, a moment of reclaiming her own life after years of giving herself to others. The simple acts of connecting with people, lending a helping hand, and finding joy in small tasks are, to her, acts of healing and renewal. Though Ms. Tanaka has lost much, she has chosen not to dwell on what she no longer has. Instead, she's discovering a life where she lives, first and foremost, for herself. This journey, though it has been full of hardship, has given her the invaluable lesson that sometimes the greatest strength lies in choosing oneself. Her experience underscores that while family relationships are deeply meaningful, they must also respect individual boundaries. This case and others like it force us to question the essence of family ties, urging us to redefine what it means to love and support without losing ourselves. In many families, bonds hold steady despite challenges, often navigating through conflicts with mutual understanding and compromise. Yet, stories like Ms. Tanaka's reveal the delicate, often fragile balance between love and financial dependence, a balance that, when lost, can strain relationships to their breaking point. Another story that brings this lesson into sharper focus is that of Kenichi Suzuki, a former high school teacher who has spent much of his life in the classroom, inspiring young minds. Now 67, he had dedicated 35 years of his life to teaching, shaping the lives of countless students, each lesson a thread woven into his legacy. Mr. Suzuki was just 3 years away from retirement, looking forward to what he thought would be a peaceful and comfortable next chapter. But life had other plans. His school announced a merger, and he found himself facing an unexpected proposal: early retirement. It was a shock to him. He had always envisioned retiring on his terms, his career ending with a sense of completion, but now he was being asked to end it sooner than he had planned. With a retirement allowance of 25 million yen and a monthly pension of 200,000 yen, he thought he was well prepared for the future. He had worked hard to earn this security and took pride in his ability to care for himself and his family. However, his eldest son's business was facing financial difficulties, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Mr. Suzuki, driven by love and the instinct to protect his family, made a decision that would change the course of his retirement. He gave his son 10 million yen, believing that this financial lifeline would save his son's business. He wanted to spare his son the pain of failure and offer him a chance to rebuild. But sadly, even this act of generosity wasn't enough. Just a year later, his son's company collapsed, and the financial support Mr. Suzuki had extended was unrepaid. What's more, his son, now facing even greater challenges, continued to turn to him for additional financial help. Mr. Suzuki found himself unable to say no, feeling torn between his financial security and the troubled look in his son's eyes. Each time he reached for his retirement savings, each check he wrote to help, chipped away at the financial foundation he had spent decades building. Slowly, his hard-earned retirement allowance dwindled until less than 10 million yen remained. The life he had envisioned for himself and his wife was now uncertain. His wife's words, spoken in frustration and fear, cut deep. If this continues, how will we sustain ourselves in our old age? You'll end up becoming a burden to our children. Her words forced him to confront the reality of his choices, to realize the impact of his sacrifices, not only on his future but also on the well-being of those he loved. These moments of reflection have weighed heavily on Mr. Suzuki, leaving him to wonder if his acts of love had unintentionally led him down a path of financial instability. He wanted so badly to help his son, but in doing so, he may have put his future at risk. Now, he faces the challenging task of finding balance, of determining how to support his family while also safeguarding his own needs. It's a situation that many parents might find themselves in, and Mr. Suzuki's story serves as a poignant reminder of the fine line between love and self-preservation. Together, these stories remind us of the powerful yet complex bonds that tie families together, bonds that are often tested by love, loyalty, and the limits of our well-being. They teach us that while generosity is noble, there must be boundaries that protect both our relationships and our security. In a world where family bonds are cherished and celebrated, it is easy to forget that love alone cannot sustain us. We must also build a foundation of respect, independence, and mutual support. For anyone finding themselves at this crossroads, let these stories offer a gentle, heartfelt reminder. Cherish those you love deeply, but hold space in your life for yourself as well. There is a unique strength in learning to balance love with self-worth, and it is a strength that carries us forward, even when the path is difficult. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. That night, with a heart brimming with determination, Mr. Suzuki made a decision that would not only shape his future but redefine his relationship with his son in ways he never imagined. For the very first time in his life, He chose to turn down his son's offer of financial assistance. A decision that didn't come easily but felt undeniably right. It was a defining moment, marking his commitment to self-reliance. Instead of depending on his son, Mr. Suzuki decided to take his remaining savings and start afresh, pursuing a dream he had quietly nurtured for years. As he reflected on his decades of teaching, he remembered the joy he found in guiding his students through the intricacies of classical literature. He realized he had always longed to make this knowledge accessible to others in a way that was both inspiring and easy to understand. With this vision in mind, he took a brave step into the digital world, teaching himself the ropes of YouTube and video creation. It wasn't easy, especially at his age, where learning new technology felt daunting. But armed with nothing more than his smartphone and a desire to make a difference, he began recording his first videos. Those initial days were tough, as he poured his heart into his work, only to be met with silence. There were no viewers, no comments, not a single sign that his efforts were reaching anyone. Each day, he faced the reality of building something from scratch, with no guarantee of success. Yet Mr. Suzuki had always been more than just a teacher. He was a lifelong learner and someone who understood the value of persistence. He drew on his 35 years of experience, where he had watched countless students struggle with the same passages, grapple with the same complex ideas, and stumble over the same difficult phrases. He knew, intuitively, how to break down challenging concepts and make them come alive. And so, he kept going, his passion unwavering even in the face of slow progress. Gradually, his hard work began to pay off. His subscriber count started to inch upward, and his videos began to reach people. It wasn't an overnight success, but each new viewer felt like a small victory, affirming that his work had meaning. As his channel grew, so did his confidence and sense of purpose. With a steady income from his YouTube videos supplementing his pension, Mr. Suzuki and his wife found themselves in a comfortable position financially. They no longer had to worry about relying on anyone else. But beyond the financial relief, there was a profound joy that came from doing something he genuinely loved, day after day. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of fulfillment and pride that filled his life with new meaning. He wasn't just passing time. He was making a real impact, reaching viewers who appreciated his unique approach to classical literature, and he could see the difference he was making through the messages and gratitude he received. Meanwhile, the impact of his decision reached beyond his own life. His son, observing his father's resolve, seemed to draw inspiration from it. Instead of depending on help, he found the courage to pursue his ambitions, starting a small company of his own. It wasn't an easy journey for him either, full of late nights and uncertainties, but he stayed committed. Over time, he began to see the fruits of his labor, and his business started to grow. One day, after reflecting on how far he had come, his son turned to his father with a heartfelt expression of gratitude, saying, "I'm glad you refused to help me back then, Dad." At that moment, Mr. Suzuki knew he had made the right choice. By standing firm, he had not only empowered himself but had also inspired his son to grow and thrive on his terms. The experience of Mr. Suzuki is a powerful example, one that Professor Sato, an expert in geriatric psychology, sees as an ideal case of independence and self-empowerment. Professor Sato believes that financial independence is more than just economic security. It's the foundation for strong, balanced family relationships. For Mr. Suzuki, being financially self-sufficient allowed him to feel fulfilled and respected within his family, and his son was able to approach him not as someone he depended on but as someone he could look up to. This dynamic fosters healthier, more meaningful bonds, free from the strain of dependency. Professor Sato emphasizes that financial independence for the elderly goes far beyond practical benefits. When older individuals use their skills and experiences to generate income, it becomes a wellspring of pride, confidence, and self-worth. The joy of knowing that they can contribute, that they still hold a valuable role in society, is something that revitalizes their spirit. For those who might think it's too late to start something new, Mr. Suzuki's story is a reminder that age should never be a barrier. Pursuing personal goals, especially later in life, doesn't mean one loves their children any less. It's often an act of love to allow children the space to grow, to make their own choices, and to find their way in the world. From Mr. Suzuki's journey, as well as other similar stories, we can glean important insights into the delicate relationship between money and family. The financial planner, Ms. Tanaka, adds to this by pointing out that nearly 40% of individuals aged 65 and older experience anxiety about their financial future. Much of this stress, she notes, stems from providing continuous financial support to their adult children. While this support may come from a place of love, Ms. Tanaka warns that it can sometimes lead parents into an emotional and financial trap. There's a danger that supporting adult children for their sake may ultimately be more about the parent's desire to feel needed and may inadvertently hinder the children's journey to independence. In the end, Mr. Suzuki's story is a profound reminder of the value of self-reliance, especially in later years. It teaches us that financial independence can be a source of vitality, empowerment, and genuine happiness. By nurturing his dreams, he not only secured his future but also strengthened his family bonds, allowing his son to become independent and strong. Financial independence, particularly when built on a foundation of passion and experience, is not merely practical, it's transformative. For Mr. Suzuki, the greatest reward was not just the money but the joy of living a life filled with purpose and seeing his son flourish. His journey reminds us that it's never too late to build a life of fulfillment, dignity, and love. So, as we look to the future and face the realities of aging, we must ask ourselves, what steps can we take today to ensure that we can live with dignity, security, and peace of mind? 1. Secure your own financial foundation. It's essential to build a financial cushion that goes beyond the monthly pension. Experts recommend saving at least 20 million yen, which might sound daunting, but it's an investment in your future. This amount isn't arbitrary. It accounts for unexpected health issues, long-term medical care, and potential caregiving needs that may arise as we age. This nest egg serves as a buffer against the unpredictability of life. Imagine the peace of knowing that, no matter what happens, you won't have to rely on anyone else or worry about becoming a financial burden. This sense of control over your future is priceless. It's not just about the money, it's about the freedom it grants you to face each day with confidence. 2. Diversify your income sources and rediscover purpose. Like Mr. Suzuki, who found renewed purpose and security by using his skills and expertise to generate extra income, we, too, have countless opportunities to create a more financially stable life. Think of it not as a burden but as a chance to keep your mind sharp, your spirit engaged, and your income steady. From online tutoring to freelance work, the digital age has broken down the barriers that once limited older generations. Today, regardless of age, we can contribute, share, and earn from the comfort of our homes. It leaps courage to start something new, but with each small step, you're building something powerful, a sense of self-worth and fulfillment. The joy of being financially independent, even in small ways, brings a profound sense of purpose and pride, reminding us that our wisdom and skills still hold immense value. 3. Transfer assets thoughtfully and wisely. Making plans for asset transfer is a deeply personal decision, one that requires careful thought and the guidance of professionals. Lawyer Yamamoto advises handling these matters with prudence, especially when it involves transferring ownership or adding clauses to protect your intentions. It's tempting to give freely to loved ones while we're still here, but it's wise to approach these decisions with foresight. Consider the implications for your future needs. Consulting with a lawyer ensures that your wishes are honored and that you retain control over your assets, protecting both your financial security and your peace of mind. Preparing for the future in this way is an act of love, allowing us to contribute to our family's well-being without compromising our own. 4. Understand the emotional side of financial independence. Money is often entwined with deep-seated emotions, especially when it comes to family. It's natural to want to support our children, but there's a difference between generosity and sacrificing our well-being. Professor Sato highlights the importance of financial independence as a foundation for healthier relationships. When we are financially secure, we give our children the gift of freedom. The freedom to love and support us out of choice, not obligation. This doesn't mean we love them any less. By standing strong on our own, we allow ourselves to love them unconditionally, without fear, dependency, or resentment. It's a powerful gift to both ourselves and our children, fostering respect and understanding across generations. With these insights in mind, here is a practical action plan to guide you toward a financially stable and fulfilling future. 1. Accurately assess your current assets and income. Begin by thoroughly understanding where you stand. Make a list of your assets, liabilities, and sources of income. Knowing what you have is the first step to feeling empowered. 2. Estimate future medical and caregiving needs. No one likes to think about illness, but preparing for potential medical and caregiving costs is an essential act of self-care. This isn't about assuming the worst. It's about giving yourself the resources to face challenges head-on. 3. Support your children only after securing your foundation. Think of it like the instructions on an airplane. Secure your oxygen mask before helping others. Ensure your basic needs are met before you consider financially supporting loved ones. It's an act of love to be self-sufficient and allow them to build their own lives without added stress. 4. Explore new income streams by tapping into hobbies or passions. Whether it's crafting, gardening, teaching, or consulting, there are ways to turn your passions into sources of income. Think of it as sharing your joy with the world, while also benefiting financially. The act of contributing in this way can be immensely fulfilling. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 4 below to let me know that you are still here with me. 5. Strengthen local community connections. Building relationships in your community is another form of wealth, social wealth. By connecting with neighbors, participating in local activities, or volunteering, you create a network of support and friendship that enriches your life in countless ways. 6. Hold regular family meetings to clarify expectations. Family dynamics can be complex, and misunderstandings about finances can lead to hurt feelings. Holding open, honest conversations about expectations allows everyone to feel heard, respected, and supported. These discussions can prevent future conflicts and build stronger bonds. 7. Seek guidance from professionals as needed. Don't hesitate to reach out to professionals, such as financial planners or lawyers. Their expertise can provide clarity and reassurance, allowing you to navigate financial decisions with confidence. Finally, I want to leave you with this. The fear of running out of money as we age is real, and it's natural to feel a sense of vulnerability. But remember, this fear can also be an opportunity, a chance to reflect on what truly matters. Beyond wealth and assets, it's the love and understanding we share with our family and friends, the bonds we nurture, and the peace we cultivate in our hearts that bring the most value to our lives. Money may ease our path, but it's the feeling of connection, the strength to remain independent, and the wisdom to ask for support when needed that bring true fulfillment. Embrace each moment, knowing that every step you take toward financial security is also a step toward living with dignity and joy. We will all reach a point where money holds less importance, where what truly matters is the ability to live for ourselves, find peace in our hearts, and cherish the people who walk this journey alongside us. As we wrap up, I'd love to hear from each of you. What resonated with you the most from today's discussion? What's one thing you've learned that you plan to bring into your own life? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights might just inspire someone else on their journey. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Together, let's continue learning and supporting each other toward a more secure, fulfilling future. Thank you for watching.